big bombers homeward bound, our P-51s drop down for strafing runs, concentrating on definite objectives from here to the enemy coast. Skimming along at maximum speed, the fighters pair off and go to work cutting vital Jap lifelines, blasting away at communications, radio installations, power lines. And airfields.
So there you go, the power of the P-51. So before we go and look at the kit, let's go to ScaleMates. Now with ScaleMates, it can give you an awful lot of information about said kits, as in different variants of the kits, different parts, aftermarkets, and where you can actually buy them. So instructions, let's have a quick look. Now it are typical Airfix instructions, quite nicely laid out. They do have the highlighted parts of where you've previously just glued in the parts themselves, so you can follow it a lot easier. The instructions are clear, they're very precise, and yeah, they are one of the better ones that you do get within the actual scale modelling industry, as it were. Again, with this, you do get two options for your decals. As I said, you can actually see where you could buy a said kit. Also, any aftermarket related products for this particular kit and for others. So, let's go and have a look at the kit. So, a quick look at the box art. It is your typical sort of like Airfix box art as it stands. It's computer image generated, depicting a scene over probably Germany somewhere, but also it is quite sort of like the old action-packed type things when I was a kid. However, enough of that. The livery that you do see on the box is what I'm going to be doing on the actual kit itself, although you do get another option on there. So let's look at the sprues. So chronologically, so to speak, sprue A. Now, as you can see, we are looking at the fuselage halves, the top halves of the wings, and your main cockpit here for the actual, well, cockpit, stroke, radio, bay, and all the rest of it. And also you do have your rudder and your fuel canisters. So let's take a closer look at the fuselage. The fuselage itself is very nicely done. You do have some form of riveting around the front of the cowling and where the ring root is. The panel lines, yeah, they are slightly wide and, well, I wouldn't say trench-like, but they are quite deep. However, I have built this kit before. Once the paint is on, it's not as bad as you may think, or it may look actually on bare plastic. The top of the wings, same sort of like scenario, same sort of like panel lining. You do have some recessed rivets along the side here, and also where the actual gun bay would be, plus where your guns would actually be mounted. You do have that panel there. Again, void of pretty much all of the riveting you would see actually on the real thing. If you want to replace it, then that will be completely up to yourself. The main cockpit area, well, you got the main sort of like tub on here. This is basically your mount for where all the radios would be, and this part here would be your sort of like configuration for the actual radiator housing. Within the actual cockpit itself, you do have some floor detailing. Once everything's in, yeah, you will see it a tad in there. So it's up to you how much detailing you want to do. The fuel tanks, yeah, These ones here, they're a bit softly moulded. Yeah, not good. However, these ones here, these are the ones that I will be using, and yeah, they are quite nicely moulded. You do have aperture there where the actual fuel will be placed, but these are extremely soft, and yeah, I'm not going to go with those. You do have one of the rudders there. You do have a couple actually in the actual box in itself. Again, nicely rendered. Okay, sprue B, looking at the underside of the wings, parts of the cowling, and the inside of the actual cockpit. So next up is sprue B. Now, as you can see, we're looking at the lower parts of the wings, fin fuselage, and some other entendres. So let's have a closer look. The lower part of the wings, as you can see, is all one piece. Yes, there are riveting detail on there. The colour lines are the same as the upper and the fuselage, but again, you are void of most of the actual riveting detail. Again, whether you put that in is entirely up to yourself. You do have a one-piece upper of the cowling, which is great because you don't have to bother with the actual seam line that runs down the actual part itself. With the one that I have made, it does fit, and it does fit very well. Unfortunately, this kit does let itself down with ejector pin marks. As you can see, you've got the actual side panels here. You've got a really great big sort of like injector pin marks absolutely in the wrong places. However, on this side, when you've got the actual undercarriage doors, you have none at all, and you do have some nice detail. You do have an ejector pin mark at the rear of the actual undercarriage or the tail wheel. However, this one is going to be extremely difficult to see, but unfortunately the one on the instrument sides is quite prevalent. Okay, sprue C. Now, as you can see, we are looking at flaps, undercarriage, propeller, and some other bits. So let's have a look at the undercarriage bay. Okay, the undercarriage bay is quite nicely detailed. It's a bit soft in places. However, once you get some paint on it and maybe some oils if you're going to weather it, that should come up quite nicely. One of the pluses of this kit is the fact that you do have the option to have it wheels up. You do have a one-piece undercarriage doors along there, which you can fit, and it does fit rather well. Also, you do have your propeller there, which again has been nicely rendered and will look good on your finished kit. The bit on your far right is basically it's the bottom part of the cowling and where the actual front part of the housing for the actual main undercarriage. The actual horizontal stabilizers, yeah, same detail, same thickness of the panel lines, and well, what riveting detail there is on them on the actual main fuselage and wings. The flaps, well, you do get two options. You can either have them up or down. Yeah, so you're not messing about with different angles and all the rest of it. It's all done for you. Again, the detailing or the power lining is the same as everywhere else on the kit, so you shouldn't have any problems with that. Okay, we have sprue D. Now, as you can see, we've got all the small little fiddly bits and things that stick out. Yeah, now, what I have seen on here is the fact that you do get some pretty decent options. When you're looking at the undercarriage itself, you do get a choice of the diamond tread or the actual normal, well, the flat servicing. Now, the wheels are slightly, as you can see, weighted. Not much, but it's actually there. With the parts of the cockpit, the instrument panel, yeah, it's not too bad. The detail is moulded in, but you do have a decal if you so wish to use it. You do have like the rudder pedals and also the seat back, which does have moulded in shoulder harnesses. The actual bottom seat doesn't have any harnesses at all, so yeah, you may have to make them yourself or actually add the pilot into the kit. Also on the sprue, you do have bomb fins, you have the gun ports, the actual main radio, which you have on, which will be at the rear, actuators, and also you do have the two options of the, I believe it will be the air cooling or the oil cooling, I'm not too sure, on the side of the fuselage. Well, at the beginning or even at the front of the cowling. Spit your words out, Lenny. Thank you. If anyone does have any sort of more technical details, please put it in the comments below. Okay, with this tiny sprue, all we get is one selected part of the fin, part of the actual housing for the radios, and I believe part of the radio there. So in the box you do have three choices of fin, so I can only assume that there will be three different types of variants that you can have within this actual kit. Again, one of the pluses of this kit is the clear parts. Very, very nicely done, very crisp, very clear. But also point to note as well is the actual front windscreen, that the actual part of the fuselage is actually moulded onto the actual windscreen itself. Very reminiscent of what Tamiya have done in the past, especially to their 1/32 scale one. Again, I'm not too completely sure which of the canopies is which. I think one's called the Dallas. Any more information would be very, very handy. One thing I have noticed, you do have parts here which I believe are the actual gun sights, and unfortunately you do have some flash on there, but apart from that, the clear parts are very, very nice. So last thing, the decals. Now the decals are very, very nicely done. They are done by Cartograph, which basically oozes quality in every way possible. Again, they are very, very nicely done, beautiful color. The thickness isn't too bad. I've had worse, Tamiya. But overall it is a very, very nice decal sheet indeed. You've got plenty of stenciling. The invasion stripes, I won't be using these. I'll be painting them on, but everything else, it is very, very nicely done. So again, another plus for this kit. Okay, that was the inbox review of Airfix's 148th North American P-51D Mustang. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to enjoy building it again, as yeah, it was a very, very nice kit to put together, and hopefully I'll be able to share that experience with you in future videos. So until then, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.